Afternoon, YouTube. Let me see, make this thing I can see. Okay, afternoon, YouTube. I'm here to recap and review a little Queen Sugar episode 5, season 1, episode 5. All right. So, for some reason now, just by my luck, both the shows that I watch, Empire and Queen Sugar, are on the same night and back to back. So I decided that what I should do is just watch them both first when they come on, and then in the morning I can go back and then watch them again separately and pay more attention, take more notes. So anyway, so now I think I'm prepared for Queen Sugar episode season 1, episode 5. All right, so the scene opens with Nova's having problems with her cop boyfriend. As you remember, her boyfriend is this white guy who's actually a married guy who still lives with his wife, but he has a key to her place, and so they have a relationship. Anyway, he got her in to see the kid in the infirmary, the kid that she was kind of seeing, looking out for in the infirmary, and she used that time to interview the boy. The boy was beat up in an adult prison. He was arrested for having a single joint. She's uncovered that there's some corruption there, that they are arresting these kids and giving them all this time for minor charges in order to keep the prison running. It's become a money-making proposition for them. At any rate, so now she has gone on and published this story about what's going on with these corrupt cops and politicians. And he is upset because he is a cop. His father was a cop. His brother was a cop. They're just cops. And so now there's a conflict. And he's actually, in internal affairs are actually looking into how this woman got this information about the kid, because the cop got her in to see the kid. She used that information to write a story, and now they're investigating the situation. So I don't know if they're aware of their relationship or not, or just investigating in general. And he's afraid that they might find out what's been going on or where the information came from. All right. So they kind of have a disagreement. It's not an argument in the beginning, but he's very concerned and feeling very used by her pursuing, particularly since she sells marijuana. This is how she makes her money. She's a reporter, but reporters don't make much money. She supports herself or enhances her income by selling weed. And as it turns out, we find out a little bit later in the episode that it was her weed. She sold the weed to the drug dealer. The drug dealer sold the weed to the kid, and the kid got arrested with her weed. So she's not completely, her hands are not totally clean with this. And she kind of acknowledges that in a way when the dealer tells her that the kid, he's the one that sold him the drugs. There's no dialogue about it, but there's kind of a ping of a realization in her head. So I don't know how she justifies selling the drug kind of thing. A lot of people believe that shouldn't even be illegal. Certainly, shouldn't be in an adult prison for possessing a joint. But more will be revealed, I'm sure. Okay, so uh, I'm going by character, not in the order of the scenes. So at some point, Nova, Charlie, and Aunt Vi are getting high together. I'm jumping way ahead here. Anyway, I'll come back to it. Anyway, so those three are getting high. Just from the joint. Aunt Vi had a bad time at work, bad day at work, because there's a new owners, new management there. I guess the owner's the same, but he's hired one of his nephews to run this restaurant where she works. She doesn't like him. He's an arrogant, uh, silly person who doesn't understand that business. So she's had a bad day at work because she's had a run-in with him. She comes back home. It's obvious that she's in a bad mood, and Nova offers up a joint. So at least she's not just a drug dealer making money from smoking weed. She smokes weed herself. So as they're smoking this weed, a little thing comes out because they ask her if she was having a relationship with somebody, and then Charlie asked her, "Is it a boy or a girl?" Because apparently Nova has had a relationship with a woman, so she's bisexual during her college years. So that's introduced. I'm sure they'll come back a little bit more on that. But okay, okay. So she's working on the story. At some point later on, the boyfriend comes back. They argue, and she puts the boyfriend out. I believe it's when he suggests that she's a drug dealer herself, and while she's complaining about people being busted for drugs, she's supplying the drugs. She doesn't handle that very well, and she puts him out and asks for her key to her house. So okay, all right. Let's move on to Charlie. Okay, so we already know that Charlie likes this guy Remy. Remy. He was a good friend of her father, who is now deceased, and he's also a skilled farm worker. So he's kind of schooling her on how to run the farm. Ralph Angel has got to work a full-time job, and plus he's not that knowledgeable about the business end of things. And so Charlie has come back there, and now she wants to be more involved in the running of the farm. And so Remy is helping her, giving her information. There's the big auction coming back where she has to go and try to acquire another tractor. Apparently, a tractor is $200,000. I guess I'm behind these big numbers they throw around these days. Uh, $200,000 for a tractor, but she has to have one, so she's going to go to this big auction where she can get one for maybe half that price. So she's shooting for $100,000 because there's other farm equipment that she needs, and she can acquire all this at this big auction. So there's a plan made for her to attend. I guess along with Ralph Angel. I mean, he is still technically in charge, but so she called him and she went off on him. She thought he was avoiding her about the $15,000 he wasted on this bad seed cane, and so she's come back here now and she's taken over some of the responsibilities herself. All right, so she talks to Mark. She calls Michael on the phone. Michael's having a hard time because he's found out that his girlfriend was cheating on him. All this little scandal they had with sexting, and the person in the sexting little teenage scandal, was not even her boy, was not even him. So I mean, she was getting a text from somebody else. So he's hurt and he's depressed, and because not only is he dealing with that, but he's dealing with the much bigger situation with his father and reporters and people want to associate him with this scandal his father's involved in. Of course, we know the scandal is that he's accused of raping this girl. All right, so Charlie wants her son Micah to see a therapist or she calls him a doctor, so be a psychiatrist. Nowadays, it's mostly psychiatrists mostly just dispense drugs, psych meds, but a therapist is what she wants him to see. So whatever she calls him, psychotherapist, whatever. Of course, he says no, and then she does have some influence over him because she's telling him you are going, and someone's going to pick you up and take you there. So Micah's going to see a therapist, and it seems pretty clear that he's going to move back to what's that place called? They're not in. They're not in. It's called St. Josephine's. It's where the small town where they are, outside of New Orleans. So they don't live in New Orleans. They live on a farm, which is the little town is called St. Josephine's. He's going to move back there. First, he couldn't wait to get back back to L.A. to live with his father, and now he can't wait to get away from L.A. because he's broke up with this girl and all the publicity around his case. All right. Okay. So Okay. In addition to that, so I don't know. Sometimes she's in St. Joseph. Sometimes she's apparently in L.A. because she's goes to visit. I guess she's flying back and forth because in that scene. I mean, obviously in okay, I got it. Charlie is now still in Los Angeles. Some scenes she's in Los Angeles, and some scenes she's in St. Josephine's because she's a part of this auction, which is taking place in St. Josephine's on the farm, and she's dealing with the sisters and all that. And but then there's another scene that in the very next scene she's in Los Angeles apparently because the girl is there, the girl, the accuser. So she anyway she goes to see the accuser. Accuser lives with her mother. The accuser is a Latin girl. I'm not sure if she's Mexican or something like that. She's very beautiful. But she lives with her mom. And when she comes home, Charlie is sitting in their house, which will put her back in the Los Angeles area, I assume, because that's where all this stuff happened. Uh, of course, the girl is not thrilled that she showed up in her house, and particularly talking to her family. But, okay, uh, Charlie tells the girl, listen, the $500,000 was a starting point. We didn't mean to insult you. She wants to talk numbers. And the girl is still sticking to her guns that she was raped by this man. And she refers to him as Davis. So it's not like, it seemed like there might maybe been something more than a one night stand with Davis, because she seems to know him by name or feels comfortable referring to him by name. And she's still insisting that he raped her. But Charlie said, okay, so the $500,000 was just an offer. It doesn't mean it's not concrete. But if you take this to court, then you're going to ruin your reputation, and yeah, in addition to that, you won't get the money if you lose. So she puts on the table that there could be more money. All right. So and then another scene. A few minutes later, there's another scene between those two. Is it the same scene? Whichever, doesn't really matter. Uh, where the girl speaks up and says that she wants $3 million. That's a lot of coins. I didn't get the impression that Charlie and them they haven't been flaunting their wealth, but I guess he's a basketball player. He would be. They have huge contracts, but their house was modest, and they don't seem to be multimillionaires. But this girl is asking for $3 million, and Charlie is agreeable to it. And so first, when she first says it's more than 500,000, their lawyer, Charlie and Davis's lawyer, talk to Davis and tell her that it was a dumb move to show up at the family's house. That complicated matters. She wasn't helping the situation. But then a little later than that, the girl says she wants $3 million, and she's agreeable to do it. She said she wants $3 million, and she wants a confrontation between her, Charlie, and Davis, face to face. So Davis is not off the hook yet with his wife, and Charlie's already kind of feeling some kind of way about this guy Remy, who is the farm worker or farm manager. He's not working for her yet, but it looks like he's going in that direction because he brings on this other guy to introduce kind of a cranky old guy who's experienced farm manager. He don't want the job. She don't want him to have a job. They don't get along, whatever. And so it's still up in the air about who's going to actually do the running of this farm. The farm manager take that job. But it looks like there's a romance kind of stirring slowly between Charlie and Remy. So Davis may very well be out. That's right. I tend to see, kind of look forward, to how could she go back with her husband and have this budding relationship going with this other guy, Remy, back on the farm. One's got to go. So I think it may be. I'm just guessing. it's okay to take a guess. I think that it may be that they're going to be separated or divorced at some point, and she's going to be with this guy Remy because they're just making him too perfect for her in order for us not to go in that direction. They're not being all the and apparently this guy Davis has got some kind of sexual thing because I mean if she's a paid prostitute, you don't got to rape her. You can just get what you paid for. But she's still calling it a rape, so there's much more to that story. All right, so now Charlie's back on the farm again, and she is. I mean, there are plane rides. I guess you can be in more than one place. You can go back and forth. But she is at this auction, and Remy and the new farm manager tells her about certain numbers that she shouldn't go over in bidding for this thing that she wants to acquire, like things like a tractor, which she has to have, and which Ralph Angel would like to buy his father's tractor back. She don't want that. She wants to get a better one, better deal. Okay, so the bidding starts. She ends up buying some other big piece of farm equipment that is very expensive. She pays twice as much as she could have got it for. Even though she has all these men around her telling her, advising her, she gets kind of caught up in the bidding kind of thing. She wants to acquire these things, and spends like $200,000 on the first piece of equipment. Remy says, "Listen, so now how are you going to buy the tractor? You don't have the money to buy the tractor because you spent all the money on this other machinery." So they basically saying it was a dumbass deal. Uh, but in the end, at the end of that, he comes back to her and said he's found a deal on the tractor, so they're able to get all the things that they need. I guess they spent about $300,000 at that auction though, where they were shooting for two. All right, okay, okay. So there's her and Charlie and Nova are getting along a lot better in this thing. Before this seemed like they didn't like each other at all during the funeral. When Charlie first went back for the funeral, there seemed to be some real hostility between the two girls. Now they're smoking weed together. They're laughing. You know, they're hugging each other. You know, at one point they're on the couch together, being sisterish. So that storyline is dead. Now they are friends. Okay. So Ralph Angel. Let me see. Okay, let's go with Micah for a minute. Okay, so Micah's Charlie's son. Micah is having this hard time about all of the, things that are going on in school, all that. I think I just said that he is agreed to move back. Oh yeah, he's going to see a therapist, and then he's going to move back to St. Josephine's, to the farm. He's agreed to do that. Okay, so it's out of order, but at some point he leaves his high school basketball. I guess he was up for a high school basketball team. He said he didn't want to what is that, audition for it or try out for the basketball team. He wasn't interested in doing that anymore. So he's really struggling with all this publicity and his relationship to sports and athletes and the sex scandals and all this kind of stuff, because all of a sudden he loves basketball. I mean, it's like his thing. He's no longer interested, and it also could be affected by his breakup with this little girl. Teenagers. All right. Let me see. Okay, moving right along. Ralph Angel. Uh, okay, so Ralph Angel, he's got this full time job doing this kind of stock work, and he confronts the guy who suggested this other guy who ripped him off for this seed cane. There's this Spanish guy on the job. The guy said, well, he's really a play cousin. He's not my real cousin. Passes the buck to this anonymous person, uh, uh, and Ralph Angel just kind of lets it go. Cause first he wants his money back. But the guy said, I can give you money. It's just kind of buyer beware kind of thing. But he said, just don't do me any more favors. And they kind of left it at that. A little bit later, that same guy, the same guy who now just caused him to lose $15,000 in this bad deal. Ralph Angel isn't all that bright because he's like he's just a patsy for. He doesn't make the wisest decisions because if snake bites you, you don't go back to the same damn snake. All right, so now this guy, this snake, this serpent on his job has come back to him with another deal because, all right, there's two things going on. Ralph Angel has worked 40 hours. He goes to get paid and he realizes that his check is only for 32 hours. So he goes to the manager and said, oh, well, I worked 40 hours. This check is not right. And the manager tells him, it's right. This place employs mostly ex-cons. And what they do is they rip the cons off. They make them work hours and then they keep the money. I don't know if it would be the owner of the company or this guy himself, this manager himself. But he apparently is common practice because the other guy, he knows exactly what's going on, the one who ripped him off. So you tell him, well, since they're ripping us off, excuse me, the same guy that ripped him off for the seed stuff or led him to the person who ripped him off, tells him that, well, since they're ripping us off because their place is full of convicts, all being underpaid, uh, we do the same to them. We rip them off. So he tells them this scheme about the parts coming in and how they're able to get money out of the deal. Ralph Angel says no, he wants no part of it. They're basically some scam to rip off the company. Well, he tells him no, but at some point, Ralph Angel goes to his locker on the job and it's full of stolen goods. So he zips it up and takes it with him. Fatal mistake. But he's being so set up by this other fool who's already ripped him off. He's already shown his hand and wouldn't give him any money back or trying to make any kind of arrangements or see the guy who ripped him off or try to get anything back from him. And then he gonna get involved in some scam with this dude. So I mean, Ralph Angels, his doesn't always make good decisions. So now, like it or not, he's involved in this scam. That's where we leave that. He just show up at the auction. He wants to acquire the. This girls kind of dominate him a little bit because they're the ones with the money. So Charlie ignores him and Remy and the old guy, the old farm guy, and gets that situation where she pays too much for equipment and stuff like that. And Ralph Angel, she totally ignored him. So that's one place where maybe he would have been right, just to get the track that they were familiar with. Okay, so anyway, all that. Okay, and Vi. Okay, and Vi cannot deal with this new manager, this new kid. He might be a little sweet, this new guy, but he's just a nerd and an asshole. So she has a relationship with all of her customers. She knows them for years and all that kind of thing. So she lets some slide on the bill and pay later and things like that. He confronts her and asks her, is she stealing from the till? And she does not take well to that. So she tells him that before she kills him, she quit. And Aunt Vi walked away from her job. I don't know how long she's been on the job, but she's been there a while. This is her livelihood. But she walks away from it because she's so distasteful. This guy is so distasteful. But there was another element there because she met a couple of her old girlfriends, one that lived there in town and the other that lived in New York or somewhere, was on vacation. And they were saying, oh, how successful they all had been and all that, and how Vi's got her own restaurant, and the other woman, has got some fantastic job in the city, and the other girl has some fantastic job in the city. But and before Vi could say that, no, actually, I don't own the restaurant. I just work here. And apparently, she has been working there since they were girls, or very young, and she's kind of feeling unfulfilled at that point. I'm kind of guessing, but she's feeling unaccomplished, unfulfilled. And then this dude shows up and she quits the job. All right, poor baby. Okay, meet with no friends. All right, so let's move on to Hollywood. Okay, Hollywood is her boyfriend, younger guy. Look like he has maybe 15 years on her, I would guess. But and he seemed to be so far in this series. We're in episode 5. The perfect man for her, a loving person really cares about her. A hardworking man. He's there. He's supposed to be away working right now. But there's a complication because when he goes away, he is married. Now I don't know if Vi knows about this woman or not. It's not been something they've talked about on to us. But while he's away, he's supposed to be at work. He goes and visits his his current wife. They are married but separated. Anyway, so he shows up at this hospital, and it is the psychiatric unit, psych ward. Apparently, his ex is, or his current wife, who he's separated from, is bipolar. She's in the hospital under suicide watch. He goes there. They're staying married, so she can have medical coverage, kind of thing, some arrangement they have. But so he has to sign her out, and he said, "Oh no, I'm not. We're not married. This is just for insurance." The nurse tell her that we have to sign her out by somebody. She has to be signed out to somebody because she's uh, excuse me, she's under suicide watch. So he goes home with her. She is still uh, very much wanting him, so she makes a play for him when they're alone, I guess in her house, and he resists that. Says no, it's not like that. Telling her that our marriage is over. This is only a convenience kind of thing. She gets mad because Vi calls while he's having the scene with his ex, and she takes the phone. Wants to know who that woman part Harpo. She takes the phone and breaks his phone or throws it. Later on, she comes to her senses. She's talking sensible again. So she's bipolar. So she's up and she's down. She's sane 1 minute, then off a rocker the next. But it's not clear that Vi knows about her at all. There's no. She hasn't appeared in any conversations so far. All right. That's Hollywood. Ralph Angel, Annie Fee, Charlie, Micah. Okay, I think that's the end of the episode. The plan is that Micah's moving back to the farm, and Charlie. They didn't show an interaction between Charlie and her husband in this scene. They didn't show that what's going on between them, how things are between them. They just showed the prostitute. They're going to pay her $3 million, and I guess we'll pick it up there next week. Okay. All right. I hope you guys, you haven't watched it, check it out. Still like the series. It's good. See you next week.